studio today with Sylvia Crawford, the treasurer from the Historical Harp Society of Ireland. She's here to talk to us about the annual concert series with one of the concerts taking place in Belfast. Sylvia, so can you tell us about the Historical Harp Society of Ireland and the history behind it?
The Historical Harp Society of Ireland was set up in 2002. It was founded by Siobhan Armstrong, who is a leading historical harpist, a performer, international performer, and with a huge interest in the early Irish harp. Now, some of the music has survived and is played on neo-Irish harps, which would have been invented about 1810 in that period. But the instrument that we're talking about was an instrument that's been around for 800 years and largely died out, really had completely died out by the 19th century. And this instrument was quite different, with strings of metal, bronze, brass, silver, possibly even gold strings. And the instrument was made from one solid piece of wood which had been carved out, and it was usually willow. So the playing technique of this instrument had disappeared because it wasn't relevant for the modern instrument. So although the music had survived, we never really got to hear it on the instrument for which it had been written. So that's why the Historical Harp Society was founded, in order to revive this instrument, which we often see, but we rarely hear.
And why did you feel it was important to revive the instrument?
Because although the music had survived, we didn't actually get to hear the sound of that instrument. And the sound of it is really quite different, because due to the metal strings, the sound of each string is prolonged, a very long resonance. And so it does create a whole other sound world that we have no idea of until this revival started. And that really started from the 70s, and that was already beginning. So in Ireland it was 2002 was the forming of the Historical Harp Society.
So can you tell us about the concert series that the Society holds every year?
Yes, since its inception in 2002, there have been a concert series as well as a summer school devoted purely to this instrument, and this always has taken place in August. And traditionally we have held concerts in Kilkenny, the home of the Harp Society, and Galway and Dublin. And last year we applied for funding to add Belfast to this list, and we weren't successful last year with our funding, but this year we got funding from the DEIS programme, which is part of the Arts Council of Ireland. For the first time we were able to include Belfast this year in this concert series.
And why did you feel it was important to bring the series to Belfast?
Well, for a number of reasons actually. In 1792 there was a gathering of all remaining harpers throughout Ireland to come to Belfast to perform their music, because people were already aware that the tradition was dying out, and because it had been an oral tradition and it hadn't been written down, as the tradition was dying out, that could have been it lost forever. So a young organist, originally from Armagh, who was in Belfast at that stage, was Edward Bunting, and at that stage he was 19 years old, and he was employed to transcribe the music of the harpers at that event. And that, in fact, that just took place around the corner from the studios in the assembly rooms at Waring Street there. So that's one reason why it's really important and really exciting for us that we're bringing this concert to Belfast. Another reason is that the manuscripts of Edward Bunting survive and are kept in the University Library at Queen's University. So that's very important for us to be able to come back to the home city, really, of Edward Bunting.
And the series itself is called Songs of the Irish Harpers, The Legacy of Edward Bunting. Can you give us some history on him?
Edward Bunting was born in Armagh, and he was, at that stage, in 1792, he was aged 19. But this work that he did to transcribe the music of the harpers at this gathering was only the beginning of his interest in this whole field. And he went on to make this his life's work, really. So not only did he just transcribe the music that the harpers played on that occasion, he went to visit the harpers in their own homes, and this became his life's work, to transcribe their music. So notably he went to Dennis Hampson, he went to his home in the north area near Garva, that area. And he also went notably to Patrick Quinn, and from them he transcribed their music and wrote down about their techniques. But unfortunately, what he published was not exactly what he transcribed, because he didn't have a publisher for that. And so he actually published 3 collections, one in 1796, one in 1803 and one in 1840. But these were written for the square piano, for the new piano that was invented at that period. And so therefore his arrangements are actually piano arrangements, and they're not exactly harp arrangements, and they wouldn't be possible to be played as they're in this edition. These editions, they wouldn't be possible to be played on the early Irish harp. But we do have his manuscripts, so we have his notes before he made the piano versions, and from that we can sift through and trying to find the kernel of what he was trying to preserve in the music.
And can you tell us about some of the musicians that will be playing at the Belfast show?
We have 4 very prominent musicians. Siobhan Armstrong, who I've already mentioned, she's the founder of the Historical Harp Society of Ireland. She would really be Ireland's foremost historical harpist, and she performs throughout the world, doing anything from medieval plain chant to Baroque opera. We've also got Anne Hayman, an American, who was really the pioneer of this revival from the 1970s. So she did a lot of work looking at the manuscripts, going to visit the harps that were surviving in the museums, and trying to come up with some way of playing the music. And she actually wrote the first tutor book for the early Irish harp. We also have Roisin El-Safdie, who's a prize-winning sean-nós singer from Connemara, and she'll be performing some solo pieces and some pieces together with Siobhan Armstrong, some duets that they will be able to, they've really pieced together both the music and the words. So that's very exciting to hear that being performed, because that's very, very new for this to be happening. And finally then we have Ronan Brown, who is a very well-known uilleann piper, and for this concert he'll be playing flute, but he'll also be playing Irish pipes, Kenna pipes from the 18th century. So he plays a mixture of traditional repertoire, but also repertoire of the period.
So do you find harp music is still popular, and do you feel like the Society will bring old fans and new fans of the instrument together?
Harp music is always popular. Not with everybody, I'm sure, but it's hard for harp music to be offensive for a start. But I think what the Society does, it does bring together people that are new to the instrument and people that have played for many years. It brings together students and performers. It also brings together historians and people that are interested in history, whether it's Irish history or early music history. It also brings together academics. So I think the Society has been very successful, particularly through the concert series and the summer school, to bring together people, both old and new fans, as you put it.
So can you tell us about the summer school that happened before the concert series?
Yes, the summer school, now that we've just had the 13th annual summer school, and that takes place every year in Kilkenny, and that brings together beginners to advanced players of all ages, and with the leading teachers in the field. There's classes, workshops, master classes, concerts, and lectures as well. So there are other parallel traditions, particularly in terms of song or Irish language poetry or piping. And so, along with other experts in that field, the students just get overwhelmed with a wealth of information and a bit of fun as well. Not a lot of sleep too.
And what do you hope people take away from the Belfast show who maybe haven't listened to harp before?
For a start, the music is stunning. The music is exquisite, and it's a whole sound world that a lot of people will not be familiar with. So they'll bring away, I hope, a very positive experience. But I think also, because we try and intersperse with some readings from the early harpers, so I think they'll bring away a little bit of the character of this music and the settings where this was at one time being played in. And just prior to the concert, actually, there's going to be a little short introduction to the instrument, so I hope they'll bring away a little more knowledge than they would have had previously.
And can you tell us how people can get involved and when it's on and what time it's on?
Well, the concert's on Friday the 28th of August, which is tomorrow night, and it's on at 8 p.m. in the Crescent Arts Centre, that's University Road. The website for the Crescent Arts Centre is www.crescentarts.org. So you can go directly there to book tickets, or the telephone number is 028 9024 2338, and that's directly to the box office. And the tickets are £14 and £10 concession.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you.